Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is lap guide for Suzuka Circuit with the Mazda Roadster touring car. Let's get this started. Whenever you're starting your very first lap or you're finishing up a lap that you're not satisfied with, go to the left side of the track. So right here, go to the left side as that will give you a bit more space so you can build up a bit more speed and start a faster new lap. So we'll fast forward through this part, stay on the left. Look for a path that is on the left as you want to turn in once you pass it and start to brake just after you start to turn in. Control your braking power so you can slow down while still having the ability to turn. Bring yourself all the way to the inside of the second turn, and halfway into the second turn, you want to start to fully accelerate. Then the S's are all about throttle control, but unlike most of the other cars that we've covered through these lap guides, for this car it is possible to simply just ease off of a throttle for this right turn. You can use a little braking if necessary, just make sure you start to fully accelerate early on as this car is slow enough to take this left turn flat out. You pretty much just want to push this car as much as you can and accelerate as early as you can. So just before you reach the 50-meter mark, use a little bit of braking and start to turn in, then brake before the curb on the left ends. Brake hard for a short moment, carefully ease off of the brakes as you turn in. You want the car to quickly rotate around this turn so you can get on the throttle as early as possible. Now bring yourself to the right side of the track. Look for the photographer that is on the right as you want to brake just before you pass him. And as you go through this turn, you can briefly go down to first gear for extra rotation and then go back to second gear. Be patient when you start to accelerate, because if you fully accelerate too early as you're still turning all the way to the left, then the rear wheels will start to spin and you can potentially spin out. Stay on the right side of the track. Look for this path on the right as you want to brake right after you pass it. Brake hard for a short moment. Start to ease off of the brakes as you turn in. Slowly accelerate and brake before the curb on the right ends. Control your braking power, so don't use all of your braking power. And halfway into this turn, you can then start to fully accelerate. Avoid the green stuff on the right. Look for the 50-meter board on the right as that is your turning point. Take this turn flat out. Bring yourself to the left side of the track and brake before you reach the 100-meter mark. You'll be braking hard for a while. Carefully ease off of the brakes as you turn in. For the second part of the chicane, there's this mint green area that you can actually get on as that is still considered track limits. You just want to position yourself just right and do a little throttle control so you don't spin out or just have the car act crazy. If you have a good lap time, bring yourself all the way to the right side of the track. If not, bring yourself to the left side of the track and start a new lap. Now that is all for the lap guide. Let's go ahead and talk about the strategies. For this race, it is a great start. So you want to bring the traction control to 1, and shortly after the race starts, you can then bring it back down to 0 or whatever value you normally have it set to. Luckily, because this is a great start, if you're starting in 20th place, you're actually starting with the whole pack, not all the way in Degner 2 because of that rolling start glitch. But since we are doing a grid start, you want to be a little careful as you go through these turns because it's going to be a little close and comfortable with the cars around you. So as you see here, second place got a pretty good start, and we're going to be getting pretty friendly with each other, and hopefully we don't end up murdering each other. Spoilers, we don't. But anyways, that's going to end up happening in this race. You're going to be getting really friendly with those around you, so just make sure you whip on the radar on the bottom right hand corner of the screen. You can change it to that with the D-pad on the DS4 controller or the plus and minus wheel on the Logitech wheels. So just keep an eye on your surroundings. Make sure you know where those around you are so you don't end up causing an incident. As for the race strategy, this is a pretty easy no-stop race. Even though the multipliers for both tires and fuel are pretty high, you're in a pretty lightweight and slow car, so luckily it's not going to be a big deal. The tire will be a little noticeable, but it's not bad enough to where you have to go to the pit stop. The most you have to do is just be a little careful on your driving, so don't scrub the tires way too much, don't slide around too much, and you can also adjust the brake balance to go a bit towards the rear of the car, and you should be good to go. The front tires are the ones that wear out faster, so those are the tires that you want to keep an eye on. So we'll quickly talk about places where you can do some overtaking, and one of them is on the main straight. As long as you get a good slingshot from the slipstream, you can try to get the inside line, so you want to be towards the right side of the track as you enter these first two turns. If you're towards the left side of the track as you're going through the turns, you risk touching the green turf, and just barely touching it pretty much grants you a free entry to the Shadow Realm. So if you find yourself towards the outside of the turns or just before you enter the turns, then it's a pretty good idea to back out, unless if you really want to risk it. The next spot depends if the car in front of you messes up, and that is in between Degner 2 and the hairpin. If the car in front of you gets a really bad exit, it is possible to try to overtake them just before you brake for the hairpin. And the next overtaking spot is actually going to be just after the hairpin that leads to Spoon. This is a spot where you can get the slipstream and try to get a slingshot effect going. And this is where, before you enter the first turn, you can try to make an overtake happen and try to secure the inside line. So in this case, you bring yourself towards the left side of the track. So to see here, the car behind me is trying to poke on in, and this is going to lead onto another potential and a pretty big overtaking spot, and it's going to be the back straight leading to 130R, which leads to the final chicane. So the car behind me is getting pretty close through the slipstream, and you want to either try to get the overtake done before you get to 130R or in between 130R and the final chicane. It's risky to overtake at 130R, so you can hold off and wait until you get to the final chicane. So as you see right here, first place or second place, he was able to get the slipstream and he was trying to get the attack going, but I was able to defend my position. So there's quite a bit of fun stuff that can happen here. So hopefully you guys have fun in this interesting combination. And yeah, so that's pretty much it from me. Once again, this is a no-stop race. Just keep an eye on your front tires. So that is all from me. I'm going to sign off now. So this is Mr. MCA wishing you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.